Hi everyone, welcome to Everyday Crochet. I'm Marissa, and this video today is going to be a little bit more of story time. I have a little bit of a tale of woe as to how I wound up with not just one, not two, but three separate yarn winders. And also, if you've never purchased a yarn winder before, some things to take into consideration if you're new to crochet and haven't purchased a yarn winder yet. Some things you might want to think about in terms of size, electric, or manual when you're thinking about purchasing a yarn winder. And my cat is walking under the camera. Thank you, Albus. Thank you, Crochet Cat. When I originally started crocheting, I wasn't purchasing hanks of yarn yet that I really needed to untwist and wind myself. I was more purchasing kits, often from Annie's, and it came with skeins of usually Premier Anti-Pilling yarn. And so I had a ton of this yarn, and I had a lot of pieces left over. And so I just wanted a small yarn winder that I could start just kind of organizing these scraps with. So I was, again, new to crochet. I have a tendency to pick up a craft, get super into it, and then get bored of it after a year. So it's like, I don't want to spend a ton of money because I know me, I'm probably going to get bored. Spoiler, that didn't happen. So I bought this little guy off of Amazon. It was probably like 15 bucks. It doesn't even have a brand name on it. I'll try and find a link and post it below if you just want to make a small little investment to your first yarn winder. This will do scraps really, really well, or a small hank of yarn. It holds maybe 3 to 5 ounces of yarn, but if you're going to try and wind any more of that, it starts kind of wrapping around the bottom and you have to be really careful. But all that being said, this has worked great. I haven't had any issues with it. The gears still work fine, and I have used this a ton. It winds super smoothly. It was a really great starter yarn winder, and I still have it. I still use it when I need to just wind a little bit of yarn. But about a month ago, I got to a point where I now have some larger hanks of yarn, and I wanted to invest in something a little more heavy duty and a little larger that could handle these larger amounts of yarn. I started Googling, I started researching, and I saw all the Instagram ads and all of the YouTube videos about the Kato electric winder, which is this pretty gal right here. She also comes in blue. And I was like, electric, that's great. I can just set it up, turn it on. It's going to do all the work for me. I can even crochet while my yarn is winding. This is going to be fabulous. Can handle the amount of yarn I wanted. So I splurged. It's about $69, I think, with tax and shipping. And so I ordered it. I was super excited. It finally arrived. It actually arrived fairly quickly. And that is when my tale of woe begins. So I was so excited. I set up my yarn. I was actually going to do a video about how much I loved this yarn winder. And I filmed the whole thing live. I'm not even going to include the footage in this because it's such a disaster and there's probably a lot of me swearing. So I have these beautiful hanks of yarn that I bought in Bath, England a few months ago. And I was like, great, I'm going to use that to wind it. Why I decided to use a super expensive large hank of yarn to test this new yarn winder, I do not know, but I did. And friends, this is what happened. I had so much trouble with the Kato yarn winder. I'm not even going to try and demonstrate it because every single type and skein of yarn or hank of yarn I have tried has wound up in a massive tangled mess. I have tried it with a Yarn Swift. I have tried putting it on the floor, which is what they recommend. They recommend you put the yarn in a box on the floor and yarn it that and wind it that way. Which one seems weird to me, and two, I have a cat who loves yarn and boxes. So putting my yarn in a box on the floor is just basically making him Disneyland. So I tried it with this. I then took a smaller scrap of just normal worsted acrylic yarn, tried it with that. That was a disaster. Then I tried it with some lighter DK weight that I had in a cotton yarn. That tangled. So I tried 3 different yarns. I tried all sorts of positions and ways of having the yarn around the yarn winder. Every single time I tried, I don't know if it's me. I don't know if there's some kind of defect with it. It seems to work fine. Like there's nothing with the gears, but it just knotted and tangled my yarn, and I wasn't getting that nice, lovely cake that you would expect to get. I was getting this. So I was pretty bummed. I was super excited about this. I've seen a dozen, if not more, YouTube videos of people that take it out of the box, set it up, turn it on, and it works beautifully. No one, it seems, has had the issues I had. So I don't know. Maybe it's me. Maybe I'm the problem. Maybe it's user error. But yeah, I was super bummed. I was super excited, and it just did not work for me. So back to the drawing board, because at this point I still wanted a larger yarn winder that could handle the amount of yarn like this that I need to wind and I want to wind. So I started looking again. I think in the future, when I'm not recovering from sticker shock of spending $60 to have my yarn tangled, I will probably invest in the industrial strength manual Stanwood yarn winder. It seems like a lot of crocheters I really admire and respect. That is their go-to standard. But I wasn't ready to spend it. It runs about $82 last time I looked. I really wasn't ready to invest that right after having the Cato disaster. And in defense of Cato, I messaged their support. They were really great about getting back to me, and they were the ones that suggested, oh, put it in a box on the floor. I'm probably going to ask for a refund and return it, except that means I have to ship it back to them, and I suck at shipping things. So I will be doing that at some point. I just haven't done it yet. I will say their customer support has been great. It just didn't get me the resolution I needed. And when I say their customer service was great, they asked me to send them videos of the issue. They replied very quickly. They gave me some solutions and videos to help me troubleshoot. I just couldn't make it work. So I'm super bummed, but that led to more Googling. It led to more searching, and I found this pretty little lady. It is from a brand called InMaker, and I got it on Amazon. It's metal. It's actually very heavy. It's got wonderfully greased gears that so far have worked really well. It holds 10 ounces of yarn. And so this is my new standard that I will be using for most of my yarn winding going forward. I tested several different yarns right out of the gate. I got beautiful results. Here's a cake of, actually, this is the yarn I used to make the shirt I'm wearing. This is the Fiber Company's Luma yarn. It is a silk, viscose, wool, cotton blend. I think it's all those things. And it made a really beautiful cake, and I was super thrilled because that I didn't wind up with this again. So that is my journey into yarn winders. So again, if you are new to crochet, I would definitely recommend spend 15, 20 bucks. You can get something smaller. That's really gonna be a good place to start if you're not looking to invest in super heavy duty things, invest a lot of money right out of the gate. Something small on Amazon will work perfectly fine for your needs as a beginner. And I will say, I know a lot of people love their Cato. They will live or die by it. For me, it's a buyer beware situation, because once it starts going, you don't really have a lot of the control that you have when you are manually winding it yourself. So I think I am a team manual yarn winder from here on out. The electric wasn't quite my jam. And so that is my journey of how I wound up with 3 separate yarn winders. One thing I will note is part of this journey, I also bought a yarn swift for the first time, which you can see on the shelf behind me. And if you are going to be winding from Hanks, you definitely also want to invest in a yarn swift as well. Even if you're going to be winding by hand or using a manual yarn winder, you're definitely going to want that swift, because that's going to open up the yarn for you and make the winding process much easier. So that is my journey. That is my story. I hope you found this, if not entertaining, at least a little informational. And stay tuned, because my next video is going to be a little bit of an experiment. I let ChatGPT choose some yarn colors for me for an upcoming project. And so my next video, we're going to open up that yarn and see how ChatGPT did choosing yarn. Thanks so much for joining me today, and I will see you next time, friends.